All right, now let's take a look at an example of a form. So open this folder. Look at this to-do form component. Again, this is another pattern that you see in a lot of real-world applications. So in the constructor, we are using the form builder object to create a form group with two form controls. And we're assuming the template for this component is going to use this form object. Now, what should we test here? Well, there are two things that we need to assert. One is that when this component is initialized, we'll have a form group with two form control objects, and they should be called name and email, because this is what our template expects. The second test is around the validator for this name control. We want to ensure that this name field or this name control is required. So let's write two tests here. Open up the spec file. In the before each function, we're going to initialize our component. So new to-do form component. Now here we need to pass an instance of the form builder class. So on the top, I'm going to import form builder from @angular/forms. And then pass that here. Beautiful. Now the first test. So this to-do form component should create a form with two controls. Now in this test, we're not going to have arrange, act, and assert because we are verifying the initial state of this component. We are not acting on it. So let's go straight to the assertion part. Expect component.form. This is our form group. Now here we have a method called contains, which takes a name, and it returns true if we have a control with that name. So we should expect this to be true. Or we can use another function here to be truthy. Now in this particular case, it doesn't make a difference which one of these methods you use. So it's more of your personal preference. Now I'm going to duplicate this line and change the name of the second control to email. That's our first test. Now the second test. This component should make the name control required. See how my tests are descriptive? Each test clearly explains what we're testing for. Now the implementation. So component.form. Here we have another method, get. And with this, we can get a form control inside this form group. So let control be that. Now I'm going to act control.setValue. I'm going to give it an empty string. At this point, this control should be invalid. So we can expect that control.valid to be falsy. As simple as that. Now, if instead of required, we had a different validator, something more complex, we could potentially have more than one test and test that control with different inputs. Next, we're going to take a look at another example that involves using an event emitter.